I'm gonna start double. No, why do I keep saying double? God bless America. Scratch it. Let it out. Be yourself. Hi friends, welcome to Funshine Fab Crochet. I am Kelsey and this is my crochet corner. Today I want to do a little chit-chatting about plushies. As a crocheter, I probably have made very few plushies compared to most. But every now and then I do get a wild hair and I say, I'm gonna make a plushie. I went kind of crazy this long Labor Day weekend and I made multiple plushies. And I was still in the mood this morning, so I was like, you know what? Let's make another plushie. We'll get to what I made today and we'll make it together. But first, I want to show you all the things I made this weekend. One of them is top secret because it's a birthday gift for someone, but I do want to show this girl. I made her whole body and head yesterday, and then this morning I sewed on all her facial features and then I did her hair. If you've ever added hair to a doll, bless you. It takes it out of you because it takes forever. I put on every one of these hairs individually and then I put these up and it created like all these bald spots in the back, so I had to add even more hair. But I like her little pink bow, matches her little bod. I also I don't think I'd ever done like the color block idea before, and I really liked that. I had never made a humanoid doll before. I have one mermaid and she lives in my living room, but yeah, I love her. I love the way she turned out. Her head's heavy, like she's kind of floppy, but I like when they're like this. I don't like when they're stiff as much. Love her. I guess it was 2 days ago I made this. I'd never made a hippo before, but I'd had one saved in my like inspo pictures on my phone forever. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna attempt a hippo. And I did, and I think she turned out great. This yarn is so stiff and it doesn't feel good while you're working with it, but I love like how firm this plushie feels. Like it's still floppy head like the doll, which I love. But, and the arms are still like malleable, you know? But I love that it's like gonna stand up straight when I have it on a shelf like this. And then lastly, I have what I just finished making. I didn't know what it was gonna be the whole time I was making it until I get to the very end where I have to add the little features that, you know, determine what animal it's gonna be. If you wanna keep that a mystery, you can skip ahead to this time and start watching there. But if you wanna see what it is, I'm grabbing it now. I put more stuffing in this one than in the hippo, so it's arm stick straight out, which I love. I love when plushies look homemade. I like when people make their, like the velvety chenille yarn, whatever it's called, that velvet yarn. I love when people make plushies with that. They're cutesy and like kind of without a flaw. I love that look, but I love the look when they're just like a little bit wonky, maybe a little asymmetrical, like their arms stick out, like this seam goes up its back, like off to the side. But yeah, I love the imperfection. I love the fuzzy on his ears. It's so soft. I do kind of explain what I'm doing when I make this. I wouldn't call it a tutorial per se, because you're not really watching me up close, but I do give kind of measurements. Like I talk about how many stitches and rows each leg is, and then I talk about how I join the legs together with the crotch with like a chain 3, and then I talk about how many rows in the body before I decrease, and then I talk about how I attach the arms. So if you can listen and utilize that as a pattern, that's pretty much the idea. And then you got to use a little creativity at the top, but I do talk about what's going on there too while I'm attaching or making and attaching the ears and like making the nose and obviously the little buttons and the blush. So yeah, if you wanna see the making of this guy here, then stick around. Oh, and there's no fit check to be had today because everything that I am wearing that was made by me is visible right now. So that's your That's your fit check. Come on. Good girl. You can come over here. I'll cover you up. Big stretch. Wow, perfect place. If you hear crazy sounds in the background, no, you don't. You're crazy. See a doctor. No, just kidding. It's my dishwasher and it's all the way across the house and it's still really loud. I'm gonna make whatever animal I make in this blue color, just like the hippo I showed you earlier, because I have an abundance of this light blue and I don't like the color for anything else except plushies. And I am using my smallest hook. What size are we? I'm using a size 4 G6 hook for the entire shindig. So yeah, I just chained 3 and then slip stitched into that first chain to create a ring, and now I'm going to single crochet 10 times into the center. And just so you know, I am working on a leg first. I work all my plushies bottom to top. I don't know if other people do it that way. I don't know what other people do, to be honest. At this point, I don't know what animal I'm gonna make. I have a few in mind. So then in the second row, I single crocheted all the way around, but I added 3 increases throughout. So it has a total of 13 now, and I'm not gonna add any more increases because that's just about how big I want the legs to be. I think I'm gonna make a fairly small plushie today. I just finished row 7. Just to remind you, I didn't do any more increases, so there are 13 single crochets in every round. I think I'll do at least one more row, just to give them a little extra leg length. Thank God nobody's outside mowing loudly. No. I just made an Instagram post 2 days ago about how I haven't broken a hook in 2 years, and then I broke 2 in 1 day. I've broken 3 this week. Pitiful. Oh, I can still crochet with it. Okay, let me get another hook. That's devastating. Please don't break. Please. Okay, I ended up doing 10 rows of 13 single crochets. I think that's a good length. So I'm gonna cut my yarn here and I'm gonna start with the next leg and make it the exact same thing. Snip. What if my scissors broke? This might be some of the roughest yarn I have ever worked with. You can hear it. Rough. I originally wanted this video to be me crocheting a plushie and then hiding it somewhere, like downtown or somewhere fun. Somewhere fun for like a stranger to find it. And then Austin, my husband, said, well, what if people think it's a bomb? And then I was like, dang, what if people do think it's a bomb? Okay, so here's where things get a little different. Once I've done 10 rows on each leg, instead of cutting the yarn, after I finish the second one, that's when I'm going to start the next row and connect these two together with a chain in the middle. So I'll just chain 1, but then in every 3rd stitch, I'm going to add an increase all the way around, like this is just another row of the leg, which I guess it is. Then when I get back to the beginning where I would normally slip stitch this to complete the row, I'm gonna chain 3 instead of slip stitching. After I chain that 3, I'm gonna start double crocheting all the way around this leg. Hi. And I'm gonna increase by adding a second single crochet in every 3rd stitch, just like I did on the other leg. This might be how everyone does their plushies, like attaching the legs and starting the belly at the same time. I don't know. I've never seen another person make a plushie. This might be totally normal. I might be explaining something totally mundane. I have no idea. When I finish that, I'm gonna slip stitch into that first single crochet that I started on the first leg. And then I'm gonna chain one and turn my work and just single crochet all the way around. Pretty much forever until I have a body. Okay, now if you hear a different crazy sound, no you don't, you're crazy, see a doctor. Just kidding, it's Austin in the shower. So I finished a few rows of the little body here. I'm gonna go ahead and add stuffing to the legs just so when I get, you know, way up here, it's not as difficult to shove it down in there. On Saturday, I went to a pool party, and my friend Paige and I decided to do like a little mermaid dance routine in the water. Kind of like synchronized swimming, except not a lot of it was swimming. But one part right in the middle involved just doing a little backflip in the water. Not like into the water. We were in the water the whole time, but we just kind of jumped out a little like a little dolphin and did a little backflip. It's been 3 days and my back still hurts from that. It hurts really bad. Hi. Yeah, come on. Keep going. Keep going. So after I've made about 18 rows of body, I start to decrease in the next 2 rows by putting a decrease in about every 5th to 6th stitch. Snip. So to make the arms, I'm doing the exact same thing I did for the legs, where I chain 3, slip stitch into that first chain to create a ring, and then I single crochet 10 times inside of it. But unlike the legs, I'm not going to add any increases, so it's going to be 10 single crochets in every row. I made 16 rows of 10 single crochets, and I think that's about the length of arm I'm going to want. So from there, I'm gonna snip, and then I'm gonna make the exact same thing again. As I finish the second arm, I'm not gonna cut the yarn. I'm gonna first stuff these little arms with stuffing. So now that both arms are stuffed, I'm gonna stick my hook back in here. And I'm gonna sew them around what's gonna be essentially a neck right here. I'm gonna pinch this in half, and then I'm gonna stick the hook through these 2 corresponding single crochets, but just 1 loop of each, if that makes sense. And with those still on the hook, I'm going to find another singular loop right here. On this neck part, and I'm going to pull through those singular loops that I picked up, and then I'm going to single crochet on top of it. And I'm going to do this all the way across the arm, just like that, until there's no arm left to sew on there. And then as I go around this neck part, I'm going to add probably just 3 or 4 decrease stitches so that the neck gets even smaller as it goes up above the arms. But as I get over to this side, I'm going to do the same thing with this arm. and just single crochet it on there. And then of course, before I finish the row, I make sure that the arms look even or pretty even. Sometimes they're not perfect, but that's even enough for me. I'm gonna leave a lot of the yarn when I cut it, so that when I go to attach the head, I have enough yarn to weave it on there with. And snip. So I just did what I did with the arms and the legs, and I chained 3 times and then slip stitch into the first loop, and then I single crocheted 10 times in the ring. Going forward, I'm gonna add an increase in every other stitch on the next row. I'm going to create a fairly round shaped head. Because I have a few animals I've narrowed it down to in my mind that I would like to attempt to make. And they all have roundish heads. So I increased in every other stitch on that row. So in the next row, I'm going to increase in every 3rd stitch. You're probably seeing a pattern here, but in the next row, I'm going to increase in every 4th stitch. And then in the next row, you guessed it, I'm going to increase in every 5th stitch. And then in the next row, I am going to increase in every 6th stitch. I'll probably stop increasing after this row. So after I've got several rows where it's done with its increases and it's, you know, started to even out in a straight little line there, that's when I'm going to start my decreases to create a ball shape, a head if you will, a noggin. So to do that, I'm going to do exactly what I did up here in reverse. So basically in every 6th stitch, I'm going to decrease, and then in the next row, I'm going to decrease in every 5th stitch, and in the next row, I'm going to decrease in every 4th stitch. You get the vibe. What's important is that I grab this guy and count how many stitches there are around the top, and stop with this when there are roughly the same amount of stitches. They always look a little silly at this point. We're down to the nitty-gritty now. So I have to decide what animal I'm going to make. I think what I'm going to attempt is a koala bear. To make his little ears, I chained 3 and then slip stitched into the first loop to create a ring. And then I chained 1 and single crocheted 5 times into that ring. Are their ears even fuzzy, or am I making that up? So I've created this. I just did like 3 rows of single crochets, and I'm gonna give that a snip, but I'm gonna leave it a little extra yarn so that I can weave the little ear to the head. And then with this guy, I'm just gonna single crochet around that same ear semicircle. And then I'm gonna get to lining this up where I want it and just kind of sewing it on. I think that's looking really cute. And I do think, upon reflection, that koalas do have fuzzy ears. I'm gonna do the nose next, just because sewing something on that's on the front that has to be centered perfectly is like the hardest part. So I'm gonna crochet that. I'm just gonna make it like kind of oval shaped and just pop it right in the center. Okay. It's looking kind of crazy, maybe less like a koala with the nose, which has me concerned, but maybe I've just been staring at it too long. Now I'm going to do some buttons, and I'm tempted to do blue because everything about this guy is blue. Okay, eyes are on. I do think it's looking koala. I tried to do a straight across mouth. He looked like Squidward, so I didn't like that, but I think I might just add some like little blush to his cheeks and just do no mouth. So that's what I'll do now. So now I'm going to take my little yarn needle here, and I'm going to go in and out each stitch so that it pops on the body evenly. But first I'm gonna stuff this. Forgot about that. Cute. Okay, so I love the way he turned out. I think he's great without a mouth. I'm glad I did not add a mouth. Love the blush. That was a last minute addition. This is an animal I've never made before. I'm sure you could tell. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Maybe, you know, like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Plushie patrol. Plushie patrol. Plushie patrol.